Hi,
Hello, everyone. How are you?
how are you? My favorite people.
Yeah. So, how have things been going? Any wonderful manifestations this week?
Sure. Like, according to our hero, Neville, everything we do is manifestation, right? We're manifesting all the time. Like everything what appears around us and every circumstance that we have, we meet, people we meet, it's our manifestation. So yes, a lot.
That-
Busy with manifesting.
That's true. We're always manifesting something, right? Whether it's good or bad, we're
Yeah.
manifesting it. Yeah. And creating those wonderful synchronicities in life. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I have a story to share really quick. It was a really quick one about synchronicity. My brother shared with me, he said, you really need to meet this person. And he gave me the number, and I never did call the lady. And this past weekend, I was doing some business with a lady, and I found out that the person my brother wanted me to meet, she's the daughter of this person. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how in the world you have millions of people in our city? How did this happen? But I know how it happened, right? We manifested her, and the synchronicity of life, everything aligns together at the right time, at the proper time. And I'm like, you can't script this. It's so amazing. How about you guys? Any wonderful synchronicities?
I had the similar thing as you had, Sandra. I met the guy on the plane, and we were sitting next to each other. Oh, there's a storm outside. So we were sitting next to each other, and we were flying from Germany to Poland, and it turned out that we were working at the same place in New York, and like he's still working. He's still with the institution that I used to work for, and yeah, we just had so many things in common, and yeah, that was crazy.
Wow. That's amazing. It amazes
Yeah.
me how that happens. But as you said, we're always manifesting and creating. So that's exactly how it works. We just sometimes we're not aware of it, and we're thinking, oh, this is strange. But actually, it is the way it should be all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we should be aware of that, and like I read somewhere lately, like our present is always the past. I mean, our present is always created in the past, so it reflects our past, our thinking, our our beliefs from days ago, weeks ago, years ago. So if you see your present and you're not satisfied with your present, just change it by, because it's an indicator that something in your beliefs, in your thinking, in your assumptions is not working as you would like it to work. Like, yeah, just change the way you think.
Well,
Yes.
well, that's pretty powerful because I was sharing with someone I was having a really difficult week, just some negative emotions, and so that means I need to go back and assess what was going on and how I can change that. And I get to go inside and create it the way I want it to be, more peaceful, I would say. Would you say?
Actually, I wouldn't do that. I would not
Mhm.
go back. I would just focus on what I would like to have, not
Okay.
to, go back to all these, all, like, it doesn't matter because it's okay, it's done. You don't want that anymore. So just focus on this, uh, on your wish fulfilled, on what you would like to have, and just dwell in that instead
Okay.
of going back. Yeah, this is what I would do right now, but
So to keep
yeah.
seeing it from the end, like Neville says,
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
the
yeah,
good things and not the negative things or the things that
yeah,
happened in the past. Okay, I
Yes.
want it to be peaceful and loving and kind and happy and
Yeah.
all those things. Yeah, that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. And that's the work that we do. So it's just good to be reminded of that sometimes when those moments happen, because we all
Yeah.
go through, why isn't this working and why isn't this the way it should be?
Yeah.
And I guess that's what we're going to talk about today in the lesson, but it's definitely something that we know that we can always go and create the life that we want by seeing it in the end and changing those
Yeah.
things that we don't like or we don't care
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, like you want to be your future self. Your future self, like the person you would like to be, you desire to be, you just admire, you want, like you see this future self. So you want to be the future self instead of past self. You don't want to
Yeah.
make this copy paste from past to future. You want to just cut it and just focus on your future self, on what you want, what you desire, and just leave the past behind you. It's like done, it doesn't matter.
I love that. I love that. And just, I need to hold on to that today. Just stay in the place or the state that I want to be. And whatever
Yeah.
happens, let it stay in the past and just keep seeing it, seeing
Yeah.
the future, seeing it the way I want it to be. I love that.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah,
that.
so Dr. Joe, because I'm a fan and I, go to his retreats, he recommends to meditate a lot. Like he has all these wonderful meditations that would bring you to this future moment, to this future self. Like you are in love with your future, you're in love with your future self, and it just, it's a deep feeling, and it really helps a lot, but it's not necessary because, as we know, Neville, he just said, okay, just focus on your end end point, where you want to go. Just see yourself that it's done, and you don't have to do anything else. Actually, like the only thing you need to do is assume that it's already done, and
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Period.
You mentioned meditation, and I know some people are resistant to that, especially in the West here in the United States, to meditation. But it is such a powerful, powerful tool, and I've been using it now for about 10 years. But I will tell you, in the beginning, I would say, what in the world is meditation? Why are people doing all this and all? And I was just so confused. And let me tell you, it was a process to get there, to quiet my mind, to learn to do it the right way, and to learn to breathe the right way. But boy, I can tell you, 10 years later, night and day difference, it is such a powerful method to use as meditating and just seeing yourself and just being quiet, quieting the mind and let it take you where you want to go. So that's what I love about it now. How about you? Do you meditate a lot, you guys?
Well, I do meditate because of Dr. Joe. Of course, I have a lot of his meditations, and I just love that because it, as you said, it brings me to this quiet place, and where I remind myself who I truly am, and how powerful we are. And it just, you have, like, there's nothing else in there. Like nothing else, just you, and like nothing or everything, or like however you wanted to
Yeah.
describe that. So and I, of course, like I love Dr. Joe's meditations because it's like every meditation has its purpose. So he just brings you there, and you just need to follow his voice and
I
go
see.
deeper and deeper. So this is what I do.
Mhm.
Um i i don't meditate just in the silence or just listening to music. I rarely do that, because I just love the I mean, okay, I just love Dr. Josie's meditations.
Yeah,
So this is, everybody has something. So yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Each person has a method or a person that they
Yeah.
tend to follow. And I know when I first started, I had to have music, soft music in the background. I had to have something that would just quiet me or quiet my mind. But as I got a little more experience with it, I find in the silence, in the
Hmm.
quietness, that's when I can go into my deepest meditation. But it again, it works for everyone, different ways. And I would just
Yeah.
say it to anyone, do what works for you. And if Dr.
Yeah.
Joe is your guy and he, you just get everything, awesome, awesome, keep doing it. Jed, if whomever you choose, however you do it, I don't think there's ever a right or wrong answer, but the most important thing is that we find the time to meditate. That's what I would think is really important about it.
Yeah. And actually, Neville also recommends like meditation. Well, he was mentioning that he meditated like a lot. He had all these his visions and mystical moments in meditations, but he also recommended to know, like it was the first principle, to know who you really are,
Mhm.
to be still. So it's like
Yes.
meditative state, like
Mhm.
be
Mhm.
still and know who you are. So
Mhm.
it's kind of, you need to be still and just stop for a moment
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just be, just, yeah.
Exactly. Just be. That's a very powerful word. Just be. And when we can just be, everything it tends to just line up just the way it's supposed to. And I love what Neville always says, let us go, always say it, let us go into silence. And
Yes.
that to me is saying, now meditate. Now once you go into this place, this secret place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All his this state akin to sleep thing is like being in this alpha brainwave patterns, and
Mhm.
it's meditative state where you visualize what you want, because all these scenes that he's recommending to make a scene, it's in meditative state. It's you're actually meditating and focusing on this desire that you have.
Yes.
So
Don't you
it's
think
just,
the state of akin? Don't you think the state of akin sleep is also handing off the conscious mind to the subconscious mind?
yeah,
It's
of
interpret
course.
that way as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do. I love when Neville talks about that. And when you're in that state of kind of sleep, that's to me, that's when the magic happens. That's when you get to create this beautiful life and see the end results. And it's very powerful. It's just such a powerful way of living and knowing and being. So happy
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
All right. I'd like to welcome our viewers. I have a link in the description where you can click on that, and then you can comment. That's where we'll comment. We'll take questions and comments there on YouTube. So you can just please like and subscribe that video over on YouTube. We just launched a YouTube channel. So please go there, and that's where we will address your questions and comments. So today we are discussing the power of awareness, and we're going to do, that's a book by Neville. We're actually going to get into chapter 24 on failure, because this is, we've had these questions before from our listeners. How do you deal with failure, right? So that's a real challenging issue for most people. I'll just go right in the second paragraph here where he says the answer, the most important factor in the successful use of the law of assumption is the time it takes for your assumption to become fact. Your desire to be filled is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want, of already having what you desire. So I think that's a real important issue here, is naturalness. You guys agree that this is an important part of getting the law to work for you?
I totally agree. I think when I saw this, because we always think sometimes that everything is really supposed to happen just the way we said, and we want it to happen. But there are times we hit those walls and there's failure, and then we're saying, why did this happen? And in my opinion, this is the key. When it doesn't feel natural, it cannot. You have to believe. It's this feeling of knowing. It's just like you're just walking almost on sunshine. I know this is going to happen for me. I see it. I feel it. I can touch it. And when you can get to that place, guess what, guys? I believe it's, well, as Neville says, it's done. It's done. But it has to be natural. Yeah, what do you think, Arletta?
Well, yeah, I totally agree. He's asking, did you persist enough? And if you can answer yes, then he comes to, does it feel natural to you? And it's actually, it's wonderful because you can answer all these questions, but like sometimes people who doubt if this law is working, like they ask you, okay, if everything is possible, can I fly? And like, is it natural to you to fly? Because if it's not natural, you can try, but I don't think, like, you have this subconscious belief that we cannot do it. We it's like, gravitation, we have no like wings or whatever, like, so probably it would be really hard to believe that we can fly. So it's not a natural thing, right, for us. Or like people ask, different question, why aren't you the president of the world if everything is, so possible, everything? Yeah, because it's not my desire, because it's not natural for me. Like, I have different desires that they feel natural. So it's very powerful, because many people have this actually big problem. They have desires, but that, like, these desires do not feel natural for them. It's completely yeah, a completely different story for them. And it's like the subconscious mind is like, no, 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 like, wait a minute, it's impossible. Yeah.
Then also, another law that I would bring up here would be the law of gestation. For instance, like an egg, it takes a while for the egg to incubate. So once you have your desire, you got to give it time, right? It's not going to happen, like you said, Arletta, it's not going to happen instantaneous. You have to change. You might have to change your belief system. You might have to work out some other things for it to actually start to work. And once it does, you need to give it time. It's not going to happen instantaneously. So you guys agree with the gestation period has to be, it depends on, I guess, how big the belief is, right? Some things are easier than others.
That's true. That's true, Dad. And the other thing is that, and Neville talks about it all the time, and that's the persistence. You have to persist in it. If it doesn't happen the first time, keep going back, keep seeing it, keep going from the end. And I can just share it with you all. I remember saying, I want to live in a certain area of town, a very opulent part of town. And I knew at that time my dollars could not afford it. I knew this, but I said, I'm going to put it to the test. And sure enough, I would see myself driving there. I would see myself in the home. And I just persisted in it. I kept doing it. And 2 years later, I was living in that part of town. So I know that it does work. But again, I go back to that point. It has to feel natural. So in the beginning, I'm saying to myself, but I don't have this type of money in my bank account. So it didn't feel natural. But I kept persisting. I kept seeing it. And I just, the feeling of knowing I belong here. And it actually, again, it just happened just that way. Yeah. So it does work.
Yeah, and this is what he's saying. How can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? The secret lies in one word: imagination. So you can imagine everything, and if you keep, if you persist and persist, and you imagine yourself in certain situation, it can lead you to this naturalness of the feeling, right? So you can do everything in your imagination, but first you need to answer this question: is it natural for me right now? does it feel natural for me right now? And if it does not, just, keep imagining, just get used to it. Like, maybe, I don't know, if you want to be wealthy, watch some videos about like what wealthy people do, how do they spend their free time, like where do they live, what they eat, like, all these things. So you start imagining that you are a part of that, and you just, it starts to feel natural for you. And this is the trick you can do with your imagination, right?
Yeah. And then, so the topic of this chapter is failure. So how do we get to change, make failure a good thing, right? Because everything is failure, and our society teaches us that failing is bad, right? Right. When you start out with school, you get grades, and if you get a failing grade, you get discipline from your parents and your teacher. You might get held back in school. So you're indoctrinated in that failure is bad right from the get-go, right out of the gate. But actually failure is a good thing, right? Because that's how you learn. You have to fail at everything to some degree in order to be good at it. Practice makes perfect. So in the case of the law, how do you guys handle failure and turning lemons into lemonade?
Well, for me, I've actually come to the place in life to understand when something doesn't work or I perceive I've failed, I look at it as growth. It's an opportunity to learn something, to go back and try it again, or to do it again, or to see it in a different way. But when I was younger, I can tell you, when I would fail at something or it didn't work, I would just be sick. I mean, physically sick, because it's like, why is this happening to me? And why, and really putting the blame on lots of other people that I failed or didn't work the way I thought it should work. Instead of coming back and looking at myself and saying, what did I do? And how can I do it differently? And what can I learn from this? Instead of looking at it as a failure, what can I learn from this and not repeat this pattern? And so that takes growth to really get to that place to see really nothing is failure, because everything that happens in your life, I do believe there's a reason for it. And we can choose to grow from it, or we can suck in, and get depressed and all these things. But why? When you say, what is it? What is it for me to learn? How can I do this differently the next time? And you'll, believe it or not, we grow stronger through failure. So failure is actually good, just like the polarity of life, there's good and bad. So, but we don't want to we want to think, oh, it's bad, but it's not really bad. It's just a process of the way life works, and just look at it as, okay, that's good too, because it's just worse, right? Right? And so that's good too, and that's bad, but it's still, what can I learn from it? How can I grow from this? That's how I see it.
Yeah, like you brought up the point of polarity, and that's another law of polarity. Whereas if you can imagine something, then there has to be the opposite of that. It has to be, I know a lot of you talk about this with Joe Dispenza in the field and whatnot, but if you imagine it, then it exists, right? So it's just a matter of giving that gestation period and making it feel natural to you becoming aligned with it and becoming in your life. Is that how you guys look at that with polarity, and knowing that you just know that it's already there once you imagine something? It's just a matter of letting it fall in your lap, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. And, like everything, as I said at the beginning, everything is your manifestation. So your failure is also your manifestation. So it's okay. Just, it means that you just need to redo something, do it differently, just, persist and live in the end, and just, know that everything is gonna be okay, because you're the master here. You are the one who's creating all this, like manifesting all this, because creation is finished. But like, you're the boss, so you can just, if you don't like what you see, just manifest something else, right?
The other part of that, our letter too, is I know the audience, they're probably saying, It's not that easy. You are talking like you can just say, do this and have this and it is done. Well, I don't think we're saying it's that easy, but we are saying that this is the way life happens when you're creating, that everything you desire, you can have. You have to first believe that. The person has to believe that this is who I am, and understand who you really are, that you are this creator and everything that you desire, you can have. It does not mean that you can have it immediately. Sometimes you can, but in most cases, there is a process. In most cases, I would say it takes time, but we know, Jed, right, Aletta, time is an illusion. It's just an illusion. So we just have to keep seeing and desiring what it is that we want for ourselves and know that we can have this. If we just walk in that feeling of already knowing it's done, and do not waver, keep persisting in it. And the more you persist in it, you just keep seeing it, it does show up. But don't worry about the time. Don't worry about how. Just know it will happen.
Great point. And so I got my Neville word of the day here. So he always uses some words that I get a little confused on. If you guys know the definition of this. So he says, you must realize that changes are not caused by caprice, but a change of consciousness. So caprice, I just looked it up and it looks like a impulsive change of mind. Do you think that's what he's talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. It's not that you want to, like, the change is not a result of like you thinking, okay, I want change. It's not what you want, it's what you're assuming, what your what your beliefs are. Your life is not what you want. Your life is who you are. So yeah, you have to change your beliefs and your assumptions, and then the rest will follow. I know it's like, because I've been there. I was also thinking like, okay, what about all these people who are like suffering, who are like all these children, and like just go over and tell them like, okay, you just need to change your way of thinking. But this is like, yeah, we're discussing Neville's lectures, so this is what he's saying, like that we create our outer circumstances by the way we think and by our beliefs and assumptions. So and we experiment with that. We're just testing the law, and it seems it's working that way. And there are many people who says like they think the same, like they talking about the same thing. That's why I love Dr. Joe Dispenza, because he's giving some science to just to prove that the law is working. So I know it's hard to understand that in in this light of suffering people. It is. Neville also gives answer to that, but I don't want to develop the subject more here, because yeah, he's talking about that. But if you have like, if you're not happy with your life, just try it. Just try to change your beliefs and assumptions. How would your life look like if you were happy? Like, what would you feel? How would you walk? How would you perceive your world? How would you talk to your friends, to other people, if you were already the person that you would love to be? And just check it. What if it works?
Yeah, I agree with that, Arletta. And because everything is in the imagination, one of the things I find too is people do not manifest or create the life because a lot of times it's their inner conversation. And I know that's another conversation, another book that Neville has, he talks about in the middle diet. But the belief system of knowing that you can have any and everything that you desire, you have to also not only speak that, but internally, you have to know within yourself. And so you have to constantly tell yourself that mental diet of this is who I am and I see myself this way. And let me tell you, the brain, the mind will say, wait a minute, that's not the way we used to talk. And it will fight you. And it will say, wait, because this is frontal lobe right here, it's our protector. And so it tells us, no, we're supposed to talk negative. We're supposed to say, no, it's not going to happen. It can't happen for me. But that's not correct. So what has to happen is the inner conversation also has to change. And that conversation has to change on a daily, ongoing basis. And so after a while, guess what the mind will start saying is, oh, yeah, we can have this. We can do this. And the more you do it, the more you persist in it, you'll see that whatever it is that you desire will manifest. But when you do it the first time and the brain says, no, we don't talk positive, you have to keep talking positive. You have to keep seeing those things that you desire. And so I think that's what he's also talking about when he's saying, sing in your imagination. What is it that you desire? What is it that you want for your life or anything? A special person in your life or money or just anything. You just have to you have to keep that conversation internally, seeing and lining up with that same thing, knowing that if you persist in it, you will have it. It's done.
Yeah, but what does it mean to persist? Because there are people and including myself at the beginning of this trip that were thinking, okay, I just persisted for almost an hour and nothing changed. Hello, it's been 2 days and still I'm not living in Hawaii. So what Neville says is you need to persist until it manifests. You just need to persist until whatever you want manifests in your life. So, and this is sometimes for me, it's kind of hard work because all these negative thinking, it's like an addiction. It's very hard to watch yourself, to watch your inner thoughts, inner talking, this monologue in your head, no, I will start tomorrow. Oh no, today I'm already having such a bad day and everything works against me. I mean, I will literally I will start tomorrow because it's not a good day. And then tomorrow it's I'm gonna start maybe next month because I'm very busy this month and I have all these things at work and it's impossible. I need to focus on my work, so I'm gonna start next month. And this is what we do, and this is why we we think it's not working because we don't even have time to try that. And other thing is okay, I'm not gonna do that. It's stupid. It's too simple. How on earth does just what I think? How on earth the change of the way I'm thinking? How is it gonna manifest me anything? It's just stupid. It's no, I'm not gonna do that. And yeah, it's that simple, but it's not easy. It's really not easy. Even if it sounds simple, just try it. It's not easy. Yeah. So this is how it is.
So just to wrap, that's where the failure comes in, right? The failure is part of the process. So you just got to get used to it. And that's part of life. And you just learn from the experience. You just don't try to make the same mistakes, right? That's the definition of insanity, just trying to the same thing over and over again with expecting different results. So, all right. Anybody else, you guys have anything else to say before we wrap this one up?
You know what? I do like the point when Aletta said that it really is simple. We make it complicated. And the process is very simple. And sometimes when you talk to people, and every now and then I share Neville with people, and I'm so excited about all the things that have happened in my life, right? And I said, but it's so simple. And I think everyone wants to just take this and grab onto it and just do it. But then you realize that, well, wait a minute, there's a process. There's work that you have to do. It's a lot of mental work. And if you're ready for the mental journey of changing your whole life, and I can tell you I've done this, changing my whole life from going from just mediocre to just wow, having that wow factor, because that's what I've always wanted, the wow factor that wow, I can have anything that I desire, do anything that I want to do, and just that amazing. This is what we're talking about. So the process is a very simplistic process, but again, you have to persist in it and you have to do the mental work and that imagination and feeling and knowing that it's yours, it's done. Will you guys agree?
Sure. And still, we are manifesting anyway, like all the time. So you can't stop manifesting because you do it all the time, effortless. It just happens. But if you want to change your life and do because right now you're like on autopilot. But if you want to change your life or whatever, like you want to manifest some kind of desire, then you need to, change the way you think, right? And believe it's possible. Assume it's done.
Yep, just gotta let gestate, give it that time and let it do its thing and let it be natural. So, all right. So, guys, anything else before we wrap this one up?
I'm good.
All right. Thanks for our viewers for showing up. Click the link in the description so you can like us on YouTube, and that's where we have the discussion too. We have a good narration of this book, actually just this chapter. So you can go to that and listen to this chapter and do a little studying of your own. So thanks for joining us and see you guys next week.